Part 18. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 171. The old woman cried, her heart hurt more than her legs hurt. The tricycle she had used for many years was damaged, and the decades-old sewing machine on the tricycle was already a little broken, but now it was even worse. The old woman cried and said to God, feeling that God was very unfair to her. She had been honest and conscientious for decades and had never done anything wrong. Why did God do this to her? Her husband just passed away a few days ago. She was thinking about using this tricycle to repair the broken sewing machine this afternoon so that she could go back and mend the quilt that her husband had used for many years. But when she came out in the afternoon, she found a lot of things. I couldn't find a place to repair sewing machines in many places, and people in many places were unwilling to repair them. By now, it was getting dark, she hadn't eaten dinner yet, but she was lost again. Coupled with her age and the fact that there were so many cars in the city, she couldn't ride a bike, so she could only keep pushing, and she got to where she is now. She wanted to rush back quickly. Because there is a granddaughter in the family who has leukemia. She is only 8 years old. My son died in an accident a few years ago, and my daughter-in-law ran away again, leaving her granddaughter with leukemia and her husband behind. But a few days ago, my wife also passed away. Now she and her granddaughter are the only ones left to depend on each other. She was worried about her granddaughter and hurried home, but now she had a car accident. God, why are you doing this to me? The old woman cried. But at this moment, the middle-aged man came down and saw that the new car he had just bought was heavily decorated. He was heartbroken and said angrily to the old woman on the ground, "Damn old woman, what the hell did you do? Look, my new car was damaged. Are you looking for death? You pushed the tricycle and ran to the main road. You're driving on the wrong side of the road. You're driving on the wrong side of the road. Do you know any traffic laws? Needless to say, I'm fully responsible. You are fully responsible. It's such a good deal, it's worth tens of thousands." The middle-aged man, the owner of the Mercedes-Benz S450, kept angrily yelling at the old woman. The middle-aged man picked up his mobile phone and took pictures of the scene. Many people around also saw this scene. Judging from the conditions at the scene, it can be seen at a glance. It is exactly what the man said. This old woman was pushing a tricycle against the traffic. This road is a two-way 4-lane road with a divider in the middle. The old woman's tricycle has been pushed onto the main road on the right, next to the middle divider. Place. When the old woman heard the man's voice, her expression changed again, her eyes filled with tears, and she said weakly that she seemed to know that she was going the wrong way, and she didn't even know a few words, let alone traffic rules. "I'm sorry for you. I shouldn't have walked here. I have no choice. I'm sorry, can you forget it? You ruined my new car, which I spent more than 1 million yuan on. Just tell me what to do." The man said to the old woman again with a cold face. "Ah, more than 1 million. The old woman was also frightened when she heard what the man said. "That's right. More than 1 million. To be precise, it's 1.29 million. You spent so much on me. The repair money for the car is tens of thousands. You must compensate. Otherwise, I will call the police. I don't want more from you, just 50,000. The man said sharply to the old woman again. "What? 50,000? But I have no money. I only have more than 20 yuan with me, and I still have to save it to buy medicine for my granddaughter." The old woman was really frightened by the man's words and started crying again. "No. If you don't have it, just ask your family, relatives, or friends to borrow it. Don't pretend to be pitiful. You must give me the money." However, the man showed no sympathy at all and still said angrily, looking menacing and vicious. I don't have anyone at home anymore. I only have a granddaughter, and she's still waiting for me to go back. The old woman was a little anxious again and cried again. When will it get better? Oh my God. The old lady seemed to be saying, when will life get better? When those people around saw this scene, they shook their heads. Oh, this old woman is real. Looks quite pitiful. However, she shouldn't go retrograde. Even if you are older, you still have to obey the traffic rules. Some people sighed, but no one took action, feeling powerless. Some people also feel that even if they are old people, if they do something wrong, they still have to bear the consequences and should be held responsible and compensated. Li Hao and Zhang Tingting were also attracted by the scene in front of them. Originally, Li Hao was about to change lanes and leave just now, but Li Hao didn't, and there was a flash of strange color in Li Hao's eyes as he looked forward. Li Hao couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. Because, when Li Hao crossed the Mercedes-Benz S450 in front of him, he actually saw a dazzling red light. The next moment, Li Hao got out of the car. Li Hao, what are you doing? Zhang Tingting asked Li Hao. Go down and have a look. Li Hao said directly. Zhang Tingting saw Li Hao get out of the car and followed suit. Soon, Li Hao came to the scene of the car accident ahead, next to the old woman and the Mercedes-Benz owner. The words of the two people fell on Li Hao's ears very clearly. Involuntarily, Li Hao's eyes narrowed slightly and his brows wrinkled. Li Hao even saw a red exclamation mark above the old woman's head that only he could see. This is a system prompt. The next moment, Li Hao directly clicked on the prompt on the old woman's head. Immediately afterwards, the system deducted the money directly from Li Hao's bank card. Ding dong, this is a kind-hearted old woman, but she has a bad fate. She lost her son in middle age, her husband in old age, and her granddaughter also got leukemia. She is old, frail, and sickly, but with a strong will. Li Hao looked at the information prompted by the system and then looked at the old woman, but he couldn't help but be moved. As the old lady just said, Li Hao couldn't help but want to ask when life would get better. Her life was just too hard. I don't know since when, Li Hao couldn't see the suffering in the world. Therefore, Li Hao decided to help this old woman. Old woman, why don't you die? You come out at night to cause harm to people. You're driving in the wrong direction. See for yourself, what's going on with my new car? The Mercedes-Benz owner said fiercely to the old woman again. Although he looked very knowledgeable, what he said was very unpleasant, and he kept shouting, "Damn old woman." But at this moment, pa! A slap hit the Mercedes-Benz directly, and the harsh sound made the owner of the Mercedes-Benz startled. You, what are you doing? The Mercedes-Benz owner asked Li Hao in a deep voice. You're talking about your car? How much does it cost? Li Hao asked calmly. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 172. How much? 1,290,000. Can you afford it? Don't damage my car, you can't pay for it if you do. The owner of the Mercedes-Benz said to Li Hao proudly, with a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Okay. 1,290,000, right? I'll buy your car. 1,300,000. How about it? However, the owner of the Mercedes-Benz heard that the young man in front of him didn't change his expression at all, and said to him directly. What? You want to buy my car? When the owner of the Mercedes-Benz heard what Li Hao said, he opened his mouth in disbelief. Are you kidding me? With you? Can you afford it? The owner of the Mercedes-Benz sneered again, not believing that Li Hao could afford his car at all. You are the funny one, right? Look at the car the guy behind you is driving before you tell me if he can afford it. It's just a Mercedes-Benz, what's so great about it? Look at what he's driving. Lamborghini. Lamborghini Venezia. Dot. At this moment, the voices of the onlookers came from the side. Several people just saw that the young man in front of them got off the driver's seat of the supercar Lamborghini behind. This is a sports car worth tens of millions. You say that he can't afford his Mercedes-Benz. They were a little dissatisfied when they heard it, so they couldn't help but speak out. Moreover, the owner of this Mercedes-Benz looked so awesome. Although the old woman driving against the traffic was largely responsible for the accident, what he said was too harsh. When the owner of the Mercedes-Benz heard the words of the onlookers, he looked surprised and immediately looked at the back of his Mercedes-Benz. A black Lamborghini was parked quietly, with a streamlined body and handsome shape. It was still so dazzling under the lights of the night. Damn, it's a Lamborghini. This is Lamborghini Venezia? More than 30 million worth of Venezia. The Mercedes owner's eyes were filled with deep shock. He was also a car expert. He recognized this black Lamborghini at a glance. It was the legendary Lamborghini Venezia, worth more than 30 million. Is this your car? The Mercedes owner said in disbelief. 1,300,000, will you sell it? Transfer the money immediately. Li Hao said directly to the Mercedes owner. Sell, sell, sell. The Mercedes owner said hurriedly. Idiots don't sell it. Not to mention that the car is now damaged, and he actually didn't spend 1.3 million, and he still needs to make money. Bank account number. Li Hao said lightly again. This is my bank account number. The Mercedes owner took out a bank card from his wallet and handed it to Li Hao. There was a bank account number on it. Soon, Li Hao transferred 1.3 million to the bank card without saying anything. Li Hao is a super VIP customer of the bank, so there is no limit on the transfer. Ding. The next moment, the Mercedes owner received a text message on his mobile phone. It was a reminder message of the bank card arrival. It's arrived, it's really arrived. When the Mercedes owner saw the text message, he couldn't help but take a breath. 1.3 million just arrived. And the other party transferred the 1.3 million without blinking an eye. This is too straightforward. Damn, this is the real local tyrant. He must be a powerful second-generation rich man, who can't be messed with. Since it's arrived. Then this car is mine now, right? Can you get out? But at this time, Li Hao looked at the middle-aged man again and said coldly. When the middle-aged man heard what Li Hao said, his face suddenly changed. Just as he was about to speak, he felt a strong pressure filling his body, which almost made him pee. Cold sweat immediately flowed down the forehead of the middle-aged man. I will leave immediately, leave immediately. The middle-aged man said hurriedly, took a taxi and left. But at this time, make way, those who are not worried should disperse quickly. A woman's voice came from the back of the crowd. I am Xiao Yao Yao from the police station, and this is my police ID. I saw a beautiful woman wearing a t-shirt and denim shorts who looked very capable walking from the back of the crowd. As she walked, she said, and took out a small black book in her hand, which was a police ID. It was Xiao Yao Yao from Jiangbei police station. Xiao Yao Yao had already finished get off work today. She had dinner with her friends and girlfriends nearby, and then watched a movie in Shanghai. She just came out of the cinema and was about to take a taxi home. Then she happened to see the situation here. She asked and knew that there was a car accident, so she came over without saying a word. Hearing the sound, Li Hao couldn't help but turn his head, and the whole person was stunned again. At the same time, Xiao Yao Yao also saw the scene at the scene. A Mercedes-Benz hit a tricycle, and the old lady was still sitting on the ground. At a glance, Xiao Yao Yao also saw the key point. The tricycle ridden by the old lady must have been in the wrong direction. But compared to the car, people are the most important. Oh, Grandma, are you okay? Xiao Yao Yao hurried to the old lady and asked with concern. The old lady was still crying. I was wrong. I shouldn't have walked here. I don't have money to pay. I'm fine. My legs just hurt a little. The old woman cried again. She hadn't noticed that the original owner had left, and the owner of the car in front of her had also changed. Xiao Yao Yao raised her head at this time and noticed that there was a young man standing next to the Mercedes-Benz in front of her. Why is it you? Li Hao? Why are you here? Xiao Yao Yao widened her eyes and asked in surprise. She didn't expect to meet Li Hao here. This was the third time she saw this guy, and every time she saw him, she was impressed. The first time was to catch a prisoner who had escaped from prison, the second time was when a bus on Jiangbei Bridge had an accident, and now it's the third time. You are here too? Officer Xiao. Li Hao also smiled and greeted him. Then, Xiao Yao Yao's face suddenly changed, and she opened her pretty mouth. She thought of a possibility. Her brows wrinkled slightly in an instant. Li Hao, this car is not yours, right? Xiao Yao Yao asked Li Hao. Li Hao was startled, but still said weakly. Well, this car is indeed mine now. Okay. Li Hao. Although the old lady was driving against the traffic, she was so injured, but you didn't even send her to the hospital? You also asked her to pay for it, right? As soon as Li Hao's words came out, Xiao Yao Yao immediately said to Li Hao again. Li Hao was stunned again, speechless. Without waiting for Li Hao to explain. It seemed that the people around him had helped Li Hao explain. Officer Xiao, you are wrong. This brother didn't drive the car. He didn't hit the old lady. The little brother only spent 1.3 million to buy this car. The previous owner took the money and ran away. Voices of the people rang out. Ah! Hearing these people's words, Xiao Yao Yao was stunned again, and a blush suddenly appeared on her pretty face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 173. The next moment, after Xiao Yao Yao understood what had just happened, she suddenly felt embarrassed and her pretty face turned red with embarrassment. It turned out that the car owner just now aggressively asked the grandmother to pay for it, so Li Hao stepped forward and spent 1.3 million to buy the car directly. Li Hao was kind-hearted. She misunderstood Li Hao. Well, Li Hao, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Xiao Yao Yao said apologetically to Li Hao again. Fine. Li Hao said calmly again, but he didn't care at all. The next moment, Li Hao looked at the old woman who was still crying on the ground. Then, in the eyes of everyone, Li Hao squatted down next to the old lady. Grandma, you don't have to pay for this car now. It's okay. Don't worry, your life will get better. Li Hao said directly to the old lady, his voice filled with determination. When the old lady heard Li Hao's words, she looked at Li Hao with tears in her eyes. Don't you have to pay for it? The old woman asked in disbelief. Well, no need to pay. This car is mine now, I have the final say. Li Hao smiled and nodded again, and said seriously. Young man, you are such a good person. Thank you, old lady. I kowtow to you, old lady. When the old lady heard Li Hao's words again, she couldn't help but said excitedly to Li Hao. She was very grateful to Li Hao. While saying that, she actually kowtowed to Li Hao. Even though her legs and feet hurt, she still had to kneel down. Look. Hey, it can't be done. This can't be done. Li Hao quickly supported the old lady, stopped her movement, and said to her again. Come on, Grandma, let me show you your legs. Ah, young man, do you still have medical skills? The old lady immediately looked at Li Hao and asked doubtfully. Li Hao, do you know your medical skills? Next to him, Xiao Yao Yao also asked. Certainly. Li Hao said calmly, but his voice was filled with strong confidence. Pull up your trouser legs a little. The next moment, Li Hao paused, looked at the painful spot on the old woman's leg, and said calmly. It's broken, it's not a big problem. Broken bone? Then send it to the hospital quickly? Isn't this a big problem? Li Hao, can you do it? Hearing Li Hao's words, Xiao Yao Yao next to her suddenly lost her composure. Broken bones, broken bones. Isn't this a big problem? Man, how could it not be possible? Don't worry. Li Hao glanced at Xiao Yao Yao lightly again and said with a smile. Xiao Yao Yao, \U003E. \U003C. Her pretty face became even more blushing. Immediately afterwards, everyone saw a jade needle coming out of Li Hao's hand. Li Hao circulated a ray of cultivation power, and a spiritual light shone on the jade needle. Then, Li Hao directly inserted the jade needle into the acupuncture point next to the fractured leg of the old woman. Soon, Li Hao took out a second jade needle and inserted it into another acupuncture point next to the fracture. After doing this, Li Hao gently placed his hand on the fractured position of the old woman's leg, and then pressed hard on the fractured position of the old woman's leg. Click. A crisp skeletal sound sounded. Ah! A scream suddenly sounded. This sound was not made by the old lady, but by Xiao Yao Yao next to her. Li Hao was a little confused, and everyone around him was also a little confused, including the old lady. It's not like you have a broken bone, why are you shouting so loudly? What are you calling for? Li Hao couldn't help but said to Xiao Yao Yao. Well, it scared me. Xiao Yao Yao said with a blushing face, looking embarrassed again, and couldn't help but ask Li Hao. Are you ready? All right. Li Hao directly put away the jade needle and said with a smile. Grandma, give it a try. There should be no problem. But you still have to take more rest when you go back and don't walk too much. Ever since, the old lady tried to stand up and then took 2 steps. The next moment, an excited smile suddenly appeared on the old woman's face, and she couldn't help but say. Okay. I'm really healed. Young man, you are really a miracle doctor. Old lady, I feel 10 years younger. Indeed, at this moment, the old lady looked energetic, radiant, rosy, and energetic, as if she had become a different person, 10 years younger. Awesome. It was a broken bone, and it was cured with just 2 stitches. This medical skill is really amazing. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have thought it was a trick. When the onlookers saw this scene, they all exclaimed, shocked by Li Hao's medical skills. As the saying goes, it takes 100 days to break a bone, but this is a broken bone. Is this good? Make them a little disbelieving. But Li Hao naturally didn't care whether these people believed it or not. Young man, your medical skills are so good, can you cure leukemia? Can you go and see my granddaughter? My granddaughter is only 8 years old. At this time, the old lady said to Li Hao again, her eyes filled with hope when she looked at Li Hao. She thought that if Li Hao, with his good medical skills, could save her granddaughter from leukemia, it would be great. I can't guarantee it. But it'll be fine if I go over and take a look. Li Hao said with a smile. Ah, that's great, that's great. After hearing Li Hao's words, the old lady was still very excited, as if she was helping her granddaughter grasp a life-saving straw. Let's go, Grandma, I'll take you back. Where do you live? Li Hao asked directly. My home is here. The old lady immediately gave Li Hao an address. "Officer Xiao, can you drive?" But at this time, Li Hao said to Xiao Yao Yao again. Xiao Yao Yao was stunned for a moment, but she still answered, "Yes." "In that case, please help me drive my car back. You can drive it home directly. I will drive it another day." Li Hao said directly to Xiao Yao Yao again. "Ah." Xiao Yao Yao was suddenly surprised. "I'm going to grandma's house. See her granddaughter. By the way, this friend of mine is drunk, so you should send her to the conservatory first." Li Hao suddenly said again, and there was Zhang Tingting next to him. "No, Li Hao, I want to go with you." At this time, Zhang Tingting next to her said again. "Forget it, it's already 12 o'clock. Let's wait another day." Li Hao said directly. "When encountering this kind of thing, I can't just sit back and watch, as I can do my best. The original plan with Zhang Tingting can only be temporarily changed." Xiao Yao Yao next to her opened her eyes wide again when she saw this scene. "I didn't notice it just now, but there was a beautiful woman next to Li Hao, especially with such a stunning figure, which made Xiao Yao Yao feel a little ashamed of herself. So big. Why is this guy surrounded by women, and they are beautiful women too? Is this another replacement? Hui scumbag. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 174. When Xiao Yao Yao saw the beautiful woman standing next to Li Hao, she was also stunned. Because Xiao Yao Yao had to admit that the figure of the woman in front of her was much better than hers, and she was exactly the type that men liked most. And Xiao Yao Yao remembered that the last time she saw Li Hao, there was a Cheongsam goddess beside Li Hao. Is this another one? Therefore, Xiao Yao Yao looked at Li Hao with a strange look in her eyes. Scumbag. This Li Hao is a scumbag. Sure enough, the more handsome a man is, the scumbag he may be. Xiao Yao Yao secretly thought in her heart. But Xiao Yao Yao didn't expect that Li Hao would let her help him drive his car back, and even drive it back to his home. This is Lamborghini poison. Did she just let her prescribe it casually? However, Xiao Yao Yao thought for a moment and agreed directly. The Mercedes-Benz S450 in front of me also needs someone to drive it. This big girl is drunk, so naturally it is impossible to drive it. Driving it back by yourself is the best option. Okay. I'll go directly to the police station tomorrow. If you have time, come directly to the police station. Xiao Yao Yao said directly. Li Hao directly opened the trunk of the Mercedes-Benz S450, and then carried the old grandmother's old-fashioned sewing machine into the trunk. Although the trunk door could not be closed, it could still be put in. "Young man, can you still have my tricycle?" But at this moment, the old woman couldn't let go of her tricycle. She had been riding this tricycle for many years. This tricycle really can't be installed. And it's installed like this. It can't be repaired when you take it back. "Grandma, I'll get you a new one later." Li Hao said directly that even if the tricycle was taken back, it would not be reparable, and it was already extremely dilapidated. "Ah. Really?" When the old lady heard Li Hao's words, her old face suddenly became happy again. Li Hao nodded. Although the old lady was extremely reluctant to part with the tricycle, she finally agreed not to give it up because of Li Hao's promise to buy her a new one. Li Hao directly moved the damaged tricycle to the roadside and helped the old woman get into the car. Soon, other traffic police officers arrived at the scene and evacuated the crowd, allowing traffic to return to normal. Li Hao drove the old lady directly to her home. Later, Xiao Yao Yao and Zhang Tingting also got into the Lamborghini poison, driven by Xiao Yao Yao to the Conservatory of Music. In the car. Is this what it's like to drive a sports car? Xiao Yao Yao's heart was also extremely agitated. Although she had driven luxury cars, including Mercedes-Benz and BMW, she had never driven a Lamborghini. This feeling is really so comfortable. Sitting in this car, I feel like a sense of pride is born out of thin air. Moreover, when it was driven on the street, it really blew up the street and attracted the attention of countless passers-by. More than 10 minutes later, Li Hao drove a Mercedes-Benz S450 to the gate of an old community. The community is next to a vegetable market, and the road at the entrance is very narrow, and there are some old Gaiwan tea houses on both sides. But at this moment, it was already late at night, and it was deep and terrifyingly quiet. "This is it. That's the house in front," the old lady said to Li Hao again. Li Hao parked the car aside without driving in, and then followed the old lady directly inside with the sewing machine on his shoulder. There was not even a doorman in the old community, and he soon arrived at the door of a room on the third floor. The old lady opened the door gently. The lights inside were off. "Grandmother." But at this moment, a childish voice suddenly sounded, and this voice sounded very weak. "Hey, little Ying, it's Grandma. Grandma is back." The old woman responded quickly, and then turned on the light on the wall. The lights are dim. But Li Hao clearly saw a little girl curled up on an old sofa in front of him. This little girl was wearing a vest, shorts, and bare feet, but Li Hao's eyes suddenly condensed. Because this little girl's body has become so thin that she can even clearly see her bones. She probably doesn't even weigh 30 pounds, right? Moreover, the little girl's face was very pale. She had no hair, a bald head, and was extremely weak. Her body seemed to be very uncomfortable at the moment, so she curled up into a ball in the summer. When Li Hao saw this scene, he couldn't help but be moved by it. How old is this little girl? She has been tortured by the disease to look like this. Grandma, you are finally back. Ying is so scared. The little girl said to the old woman again. Don't be afraid, Ying, Grandma is back. Grandma is back. The old lady immediately came to the little girl's side, hugged the little girl, and asked the little girl. Ying, are you starting to feel pain again? Well, Grandma, you haven't eaten yet. I've fried delicious egg fried rice for you, so hurry up and eat it. I'm fine, I'm somewhat used to it. The little girl nodded, showed an innocent smile, and said to the old woman. On the stool next to the sofa, there was a plate of egg fried rice. It was cold and seemed to be a little burnt. Li Hao's heart could not help but waver, especially after hearing the little girl say that she was used to it. What a strong little girl! Used to the pain? Is she suffering from the pain all the time? How painful is it? How long does it hurt? It's unimaginable. Even though she was tortured by the pain, she still thought that her grandma hadn't eaten yet, so she made fried rice for her grandma. How sensible this little girl is. She is only 8 years old. Didn't Grandma tell you to lie down and rest? Grandma will be back soon. Ying, have you eaten? The old lady asked again. The little girl shook her head slightly. The little girl hasn't had dinner yet. My poor granddaughter. God, why are you so blind? What kind of sin have I suffered? She is so young. Seeing this, the old lady hugged the little girl tightly again, and her tears couldn't help falling down again. She said painfully that she couldn't bear to see her young granddaughter being tortured by the disease. Alas! When will life get better? The old lady sighed again in grief and anger. She didn't know how many times she had cried. She wished she was the one who was tortured. Life will get better. But at this moment, a firm voice came from the side. It was Li Hao who spoke. The little girl heard Li Hao's voice, raised her head slightly, and looked at the door. There was a handsome big brother looking at her, which made her eyes full of doubt. Who is this big brother? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 175. When the old lady heard Li Hao's voice, she was suddenly shocked and her face was also filled with joy. By the way, Ying I brought a big brother back for you. This is brother Li Hao. He has medical skills and came here specifically to treat you. The old lady immediately said to the little girl again. Hello brother? Do you call me good brother? The little girl didn't open her eyes wide, but became curious, and asked Li Hao ignorantly. Hello brother? Li Hao couldn't help but was startled again when he heard the little girl's voice. Li Hao suddenly laughed again. Ha ha. Little girl. I am brother Li Hao, not your good brother. Hello, brother Li Hao. The little girl was smart and she immediately said to Li Hao with a smile. It seems that at this moment, the torture of illness has been forgotten. Come on, grandma, let me check on the little girl. Li Hao immediately said to the old lady again. The old lady nodded immediately. Li Hao paused again, put his hand on the little girl's arm, and felt the little girl's physical condition. Soon, Li Hao's expression hardened again. The little girl's condition is more serious than Li Hao imagined. The blood in her body has become diseased and her body is extremely weak. She has no resistance at all. If this continues, the little girl may not live for more than half a year. How about it? The old lady looked at Li Hao cautiously, and then asked Li Hao. Her heart was already hanging in a knot. She was afraid that Li Hao would say, there is no cure. Seeing the worried look on the old woman's face, Li Hao suddenly said with a smile. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, the little girl's illness will definitely be cured. Li Hao's voice was filled with strong confidence. The next moment, Li Hao continued. Put the little girl on the bed. I want to perform acupuncture. When the old lady heard Li Hao's words, she felt happy. She quickly carried the little girl into the room and lay on the bed. She had seen Li Hao's jade needles. Only 2 needles healed her broken leg. It's cured, and it's not painful at all. My dear grandson, you have to lie down and don't move, and let brother Li Hao do the acupuncture. You will get better in a while. The old woman was afraid that the little girl would not cooperate, so she quickly gave the little girl instructions. Yeah. Grandma, I will be good. I won't move. The little girl said seriously. Then I'll start. Li Hao said lightly. The next moment, a jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Tianqian 9 needles. When she saw the jade needle appearing, the little girl jumped and said weakly. Brother Li Hao, does it hurt a lot? In the past, her hand would hurt even if she was pricked by her grandma's embroidery needle. It won't hurt. I'll do it gently. Just close your eyes and you'll be fine after some sleep. Li Hao said again. The girl was a little scared, but she was very obedient and closed her eyes obediently. Saw this scene. Li Hao directly activated his cultivation power and gently tapped the little girl's forehead. A wisp of Li Hao's cultivation spiritual power immediately entered the little girl's body. The little girl immediately fell into a deep sleep. At this moment, a glint flashed in Li Hao's eyes. The little girl was wearing a thin vest and shorts, which did not prevent Li Hao from performing acupuncture. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao moved quickly, and the jade needle he held in his hand fell directly, and it was accurately inserted into the acupuncture point of the little girl's heart. The next moment, a second jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Similarly, Li Hao didn't hesitate at all. The jade needle flashed with spiritual light and he pricked it down directly. However, this time, it landed on an acupuncture point on the little girl's right shoulder. Then, 3 jade needles appeared again in Li Hao's hand. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Li Hao's speed was so fast, but his movements were so smooth, which dazzled the old lady next to him. The 3rd needle was inserted into the little girl's left shoulder, the 4th needle was inserted into the little girl's right leg, and the fifth needle was inserted into the little girl's left leg. Li Hao inserted jade needles into the acupuncture points in the heart and limbs. Each jade needle carried Li Hao's spiritual power. The spiritual power directly entered the little girl's body. In the blood. Finally, Li Hao took out the sixth jade needle. 6 of Tianxuan's 9 needles have come out. Every time a jade needle is used, it is a consumption for Li Hao. These jade needles are magic weapons, but Li Hao's mind is connected, which requires Li Hao's continuous control and continuous cultivation output. This sixth jade needle pierced the little girl's forehead directly. There was some sweat on Li Hao's forehead, it was too exhausting. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao's fingers quickly tapped the little girl's body a few times. In an instant, the spiritual power contained in the jade needle suddenly formed a huge net in the little girl's body, strangling the blood cancer cells in the little girl's body from all directions. The cancer cells in the blood of the body are quickly destroyed as if they have found a natural enemy. Huh. Li Hao exhaled heavily again, and then put away the jade needles on the little girl's body. All right. Li Hao said with a smile. Although I felt a little tired, it was worth it because I saved a little girl's life. This little girl's leukemia has been cured. Apart from her body being a little weak and thin, she has no other problems. She just needs to go back and get some replenishment. Hearing Li Hao's words, the old lady suddenly became excited, but she still asked in disbelief. Okay? Is it really okay? Yeah. It's really good. Li Hao nodded heavily, confirming with great certainty. Ah, it's okay. It's finally healed. My dear grandson is finally healed, and he no longer suffers from the pain. The old lady said with great excitement, and she started crying again, leaving tears of relief. As Li Hao said, life will always get better. No matter how tired or miserable she is, as long as her grandson is well, everything will be worth it, everything will have meaning, and everything will be fine. Grandma. But at this moment, the little girl woke up again and shouted to the old woman. At this moment, the little girl's face was finally not as pale as before, and some color had returned to her. My dear grandson, how do you feel? The old woman immediately asked the little girl. The little girl also said in surprise. Grandma, I feel so comfortable. My body is warm. I don't feel any pain anymore and I seem to have more strength. But I feel so hungry. Hungry? Haha. Grandma will prepare rice soon. Hearing the little girl's words, the old lady laughed excitedly again. It seemed like she was really getting better. I'll do it. At this time, Li Hao said. Why is this so embarrassing? The old lady said sheepishly. Nothing. Li Hao walked directly into the kitchen. The kitchen was very simple. It was next to the toilet and narrow. There was an induction cooker. In the entire kitchen, there was no other dish except a radish. There is a bowl of rice, which is not rancid yet. It must have been cooked in the morning. There are 2 eggs. After a while, a bowl of egg fried rice will be ready. When the bowl of egg fried rice was brought to the little girl, she swallowed it. Wow, it smells so good. Eat it? Li Hao said lightly. The little girl immediately started to enjoy the food. It's so delicious. Brother Li Hao, this is the best egg fried rice I have ever eaten. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 176. The little girl was very happy and satisfied with the bowl of egg fried rice. She had never eaten such delicious egg fried rice, and it had been a long time since she had eaten so well and comfortably. Even so, she still gave half of the bowl of delicious egg fried rice to her grandma. The two of them just ate egg fried rice, with a touch of satisfaction and happiness on their faces. In the eyes of the old lady, the little girl is her only relative and her whole world. And in the eyes of the little girl, the same is true. Seeing the two of them happily eating egg fried rice, Li Hao laughed happily again. This scene is gratifying. You guys wait for me, I'll go out for a moment and I'll be back soon. Li Hao said to the old lady and the little girl again. The two were confused and didn't know what Li Hao was going to do. Just over 10 minutes later, Li Hao returned. In Li Hao's hands, he also carried 2 bags of rice, a bucket of rapeseed oil, milk, eggs, dried noodles, etc. When Li Hao entered the kitchen just now, he saw that there was nothing to eat in the kitchen. The old woman and the little girl were living very hard. Li Hao had just gone out to find a supermarket that had not closed and bought these things temporarily. Young man, what are you doing? Why are you buying so many things? How can you let this old woman bear it? When the old lady saw this scene, she immediately said again. The little girl is recovering from a serious illness, and she is still so young, so she needs to recuperate. Li Hao said lightly. Hey, young man. You are such a good person. How can I thank you so much, old lady? If only Ying'er was older. Old lady, I am so old again. The old lady sighed again, not knowing how to thank Li Hao. When Li Hao heard the old lady's murmur, he was startled, dumbfounded, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. What's the meaning? I really don't like this one. The next moment, the old lady opened the closet and took out a blue plastic bag wrapped in a piece of clothing. There was a rubber band on the plastic bag. Soon, the blue plastic bag was opened by the old woman. There was actually a stack of wrapped money inside. Basically, they were all yuan bills, mostly 1 yuan, a few 5 yuan, and a few 10 yuan. It looked like they should be worth 1 or 200 yuan. Immediately afterwards, the old lady took out more than 20 yuan from her bag, put them together, and then handed them to Li Hao. Young man, I don't know how to thank you, old lady, just take the money. After the old man leaves, there will only be so much money left. This is my little wish, old lady. The old lady said to Li Hao again. These 200 yuan or so, although not much, can even be said to be very little, are all the family has. Li Hao couldn't help but feel another wave of emotion in his heart. Little girl, there are still many things that need money. Grandma, you can keep this money for yourself. Grandma, do you have a bank card? Li Hao naturally refused intuitively, and then asked the old lady again. Bank card? I seem to have one, but I haven't used it for a long time and there is no money in it. I used it several years ago. The old lady didn't know what Li Hao was asking about the bank card, but she still said it and found a bank card from an iron box in the drawer of the bedside table. It was an agricultural Bank of China card, and she didn't know if it could still be used. Whether it can be used now does not matter. What matters is that it can be used later. Grandma, do you know the password? Li Hao asked directly. I should have applied for this card at that time. If I remember correctly, it should be my birthday, yes. The old lady told Li Hao the password of the bank card without any scruples. There was no money in it, and even if there was money, it didn't exist. The next moment, Li Hao took out his mobile phone. Then I called the customer service hotline and checked the status of the card. Sure enough, the card had been locked, but its functions were quickly restored. At least there were no problems with depositing, withdrawing money, or transferring money. After some operations on his mobile phone, Li Hao directly transferred 200,000 yuan to this bank card. Grandma, this card can be used. I transferred 200,000 yuan into it. When you need money, just go to the bank with your ID card to get it. The little girl is so young, she has to study. And grandma, you need to eat better and take good care of yourself. Li Hao handed the bank card back to the old lady and said. What? 200,000? How can this be done? This is definitely not okay. Young man, we can't accept this money. I don't want this card anymore. Just take it. When the old lady heard Li Hao's words, she opened her mouth wide and refused again and again. This is 200,000, which is a lot of money. They have already received too much favor from the young man in front of them, and they must not ask for any more money. Grandma, just take it. It costs a lot of money for a little girl to go to school. It was just that she couldn't go to school because she was sick before, but now that she's recovered, we can't delay it. I'm leaving first. This is my phone number. If you encounter any difficulties, just call me. Li Hao said directly, then found a pencil and piece of paper, wrote his phone number on it and handed it over. After doing all this, Li Hao looked at the little girl again. Little girl, I'm leaving now. You must listen to your grandma. Take care of yourself, go to school, and be a useful person when you grow up. Li Hao said to the little girl with a smile. Yes. Brother Li Hao, don't worry, I will definitely be a useful person. The little girl nodded heavily after hearing what Li Hao said, and said sensibly. Li Hao left. In the room, the old lady looked at Li Hao's back as he left, and couldn't help sighing. He is really a good man. Then, the old lady looked at the little girl again, with tears of emotion flashing in her eyes, and told the little girl. My dear grandson, you must always remember this brother Li Hao. He saved your life and gave you a future. When you grow up, you must repay his kindness. The little girl nodded heavily after hearing what her grandmother said. Yes. I will repay brother Li Hao. The little girl's eyes were extremely firm. On this day, she remembered Li Hao's name and appearance forever, and made up her mind that Zhangde must find Li Hao and repay him. Li Hao drove the Mercedes-Benz S450 back directly. He gave the old lady 200,000 yuan, which was not a small amount, but not a lot, but it was enough for a long time. Li Hao could have given more, 1 million or even 10 million, but he didn't do that. If he did that, it might backfire and harm them instead. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 178. Li Hao did not expect that Master Sanyang had already obtained the elixir. Is it so efficient? You know, these elixirs are all materials for refining body tempering spirit liquid and foundation building pills. Of course, they also contain some other elixirs, which Li Hao wanted to hide from others. Is it all in here? Li Hao immediately asked Master Sanyang. The next moment, Master Sanyang opened a huge iron box next to him. Li Hao immediately saw that the iron box was filled with a whole box of elixirs. These elixirs were all refrigerated, but Li Hao still clearly smelled the strong fragrance of the elixirs. Qingling grass, linja flower, juyang grass. There are dozens of various kinds of spiritual herbs, and Li Hao, who possesses god-level alchemy skills, is like a master of alchemy. He can clearly identify each of these magical herbs at a glance. Species, and what medicinal effects it has. Yeah. Not bad. How did you get these? How did it happen so fast? Li Hao nodded and asked Master Sanyang again. After I followed Zhou Junjie back to the Zhou family, I met Zhou Dingtian of the Zhou family. After learning that I helped Zhou Junjie get the foundation establishment pill, he was very grateful to me and asked me to be the enshrined elder of the Zhou family. Then I asked them directly and told them that I wanted to get some elixirs. Unexpectedly, they took me directly to their elixir farm. Master Sanyang said directly. Li Hao suddenly understood. It turned out that Master Sanyang was actually the worshipping elder of the Zhou family. In addition to being a little lower than the head of the family, his status was very powerful. There is also this iron box, which is made by the Zhou family using cold iron to store elixirs. It's just a little heavy, so it's more troublesome to get lucky. Well done. Then I'll just put this thing away, Li Hao said with a smile again. The next moment, Li Hao waved directly at the iron box. The box containing the elixir in front of him disappeared out of thin air and was taken directly into the system world by Li Hao. When Master Sanyang next to him saw this scene, his eyes suddenly widened and he looked at Li Hao in shock. Space magic weapon? Is this a space magic weapon? Young master, you actually own a space magic weapon. Master Sanyang asked Li Hao in shock, with a turmoil in his heart. Being able to directly make objects disappear out of thin air is clearly a matter of storing them with a space magic weapon. Space magic weapon? That's right. Li Hao was slightly stunned and said calmly, he was not using a space magic weapon, but a piece of heaven and earth. But Master Sanyang next to him couldn't help but was shocked again when he heard Li Hao's words. It is indeed a space magic weapon. Space magic weapon is an extremely precious magic weapon. It is a treasure specially used to store things. It is also very rare and difficult to refine. Even he does not have one. I am afraid he only has one like Kunlun Fairy Mountain. Only a large sect like that can have it. While Master Sanyang was shocked, he was even more curious about Li Hao's identity. At such a young age, he is a foundation-building monk, knows how to make soul contracts, and can even control the most powerful thunder power in the world. He also has a space magic weapon at this moment. The power behind Li Hao is definitely not simple. Maybe it is someone hidden. Those who appear in the family or hidden sect and walk around the world. Master Sanyang felt more and more that there was a mystery in Li Hao. Following Li Hao was a very correct choice, and it was probably his opportunity. It's nothing, just leave first. Li Hao said directly to Master Sanyang again. Well, if the young master has any instructions, just give me a call. Master Sanyang also said, and prepared to leave directly. Wait. However, at this moment, Li Hao stopped Master Sanyang again. Master Sanyang paused and looked at Li Hao doubtfully. By the way, do you know where I can get the alchemy cauldron? Li Hao asked directly to Master Sanyang again. The elixir is available, but alchemy still needs something to assist, which is the alchemy cauldron. With Li Hao's current level of cultivation, he can't make it without the alchemy cauldron. Able to refine elixirs. Alchemy cauldron? Young master, do you want to make alchemy? Are you an alchemist? Master Sanyang's eyes suddenly widened again. In fact, when Li Hao asked him to get these elixirs, Master Sanyang had guessed a similar possibility. When he heard Li Hao's words, he couldn't help but ask. Li Hao nodded lightly and did not hide it. Master Sanyang signed a soul contract with him and would never betray him. It was nothing if he knew his identity as an alchemist. Master Sanyang couldn't help but take another breath of cold air. His heart was shocked beyond measure. Unexpectedly, Li Hao is also an alchemist. If I remember correctly, there is a place where you can get it? Master Sanyang said in a deep voice again. Over in southern Xinjiang, there is the Miao tribe. They claim to be descendants of Shenan. Most of the people in their tribe are good at refining medicine, and among them are many alchemy cauldrons. Master Sanyang has lived for so many years, so he naturally knows a lot. He has also been to southern Xinjiang, and he knows that there are many alchemy cauldrons among the Miao tribe there. Miao tribe? Li Hao's expression condensed when he heard Master Sanyang's words. It seems that I have to take time to visit southern Xinjiang. Li Hao murmured, already making plans in his mind to go to southern Xinjiang, but he was not in a hurry. Young master, do you want to go to southern Xinjiang? I can lead the way. Master Sanyang said again. Don't worry, I'll let you know when I go. Li Hao said in a deep voice again. Master Sanyang nodded and left directly. This is Li Hao's villa, and there is a female benefactor in it. It is inconvenient for him to live in it, and Master Sanyang also understands it. After Master Sanyang left, Li Hao walked directly into the villa and returned to the room. Li Hao directly took out all the elixirs in the iron box. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao selected some elixirs, and these elixirs were the materials for the body-tempering spiritual liquid. The foundation establishment pill cannot be refined, but it is possible to try to refine the body-tempering spiritual liquid. The next moment, Li Hao's cultivation power started to work instantly. In the moment of flames, it was Li Hao who activated the sky fire magic and unleashed the sky fire. In an instant, the temperature in the entire room rose and became very hot. This sky fire was used by Li Hao, controlled as he pleased, and then directly wrapped the elixirs. There was a crisp sound, and these elixirs were directly burned by Li Hao and began to be tempered. Li Hao controlled the problem, controlled the pressure, and felt the changes in the elixir in the fire. Half an hour later, these elixirs turned into powder, but a few more drops of liquid emerged, and then began to slowly merge together. It was the essence of these elixirs that, after fusion, became the quenching body. Spiritual liquid. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 179. The body quenching spirit liquid is done. For Li Hao, who has obtained the God level alchemy technique comparable to the alchemy master, it is basically not difficult to refine this body quenching spirit liquid. There is not much body quenching spirit liquid, just a few dozen drops. However, these dozens of drops of body quenching spirit liquid contain extremely powerful energy and extremely pure spiritual power. In just such a moment, the entire Li Hao's room was filled with extremely rich spiritual power. Just when Li Hao was refining this body quenching spirit liquid, Yexiun in the next room was sleeping and suddenly felt hot. Ah! Why is it so hot? It was originally summer, and it was a bit hot, but for some reason, it was even hotter, and the whole room was like a furnace. Yexiun was so hot that she was sweating. She was originally wearing a thin gauze dress, and she took it off directly, revealing her perfect body and lying on the bed, naturally without covering the quilt. It was a little better just like this. In Li Hao's room next door, Li Hao looked at the body-quenching spiritual liquid that he had put in the quilt, and muttered again. I just don't know how effective it is. Li Hao was ready to give it a try. So, Li Hao turned on the water in the bathroom again. Soon, the bathtub was filled with hot water. Li Hao poured a drop directly into it. The next moment, this drop of body-quenching spiritual liquid directly merged into the water, and a strong spiritual power spread from the water, filling the entire space. And the originally clear water in the bathtub also became a little different, looking a little emerald green. Li Hao took off all his clothes and prepared to soak in it to try out the effect. Just when Li Hao was left with only a pair of pants. Meow. A cat's cry came from behind Li Hao. Damn. It turned out to be a white cat. I don't know when this guy came in. Even Li Hao could sense it. This was a bit scary. Li Hao was a cultivator, and his perception was so sharp. Although he had just focused on the quenching spirit liquid, he should not have failed to notice something behind him. This could only mean that the white cat was too scary. Not only did it not make any sound, it even completely restrained its body aura. And he had closed the door. The white cat must have come in from the balcony. What are you doing here? Li Hao stared at the white cat. This guy actually made a cat cry, instead of roaring like before, and looked more like a kitten. But this was all disguise. Li Hao knew that this guy could grow bigger at any time and return to his original appearance. Meow. The white cat cried again, and its cat eyes fell on Li Hao's bathtub. Plop. The next moment, a splash of water sounded, and the white cat actually jumped directly into the bathtub. Damn it! Li Hao cursed when he saw this scene. Damn it, this is the body-quenching spiritual liquid that he prepared for himself. He was still preparing to try the effect, but before he could soak in it, the white cat actually jumped in first. Li Hao was even more upset when he saw that after the white cat went in, it actually lay in it very comfortably, with only its nose exposed, and even its head buried in the water. Li Hao was speechless and instantly lost the desire to soak in it. Li Hao didn't want to take a bath with the white cat. However, the next moment, meow. The white cat soaking in the body-quenching spiritual liquid actually made another sharp cry, which seemed a bit painful. The whole body of the white cat began to tremble violently at this moment. It looked as if the water in the entire pool began to boil. Li Hao could clearly sense that at this moment, the spiritual power and medicinal power in the water were madly entering the body of the white cat. Meow meow meow. The white cat kept screaming, but it didn't come out of the water. It knew that the medicinal effect of the spiritual liquid was taking effect. It was tempering its body. The potential of its body was being stimulated. As long as it could hold on, it would become stronger. So, even though the white cat was grimacing in pain, it still persisted. As time passed, the white cat was still absorbing the medicinal effect of the spiritual liquid in the bathtub to temper its body. After more than 10 minutes, the water in the bathtub became clear again. The whole body of the white cat looked a little red, as if it was about to be cooked. Boom! A strong momentum was released from the white cat. But Li Hao could feel that there was an extremely violent force condensing in the body of the white cat, which could not be released. Li Hao frowned slightly again. The white cat seemed to have absorbed a lot of power, and it did become stronger, but it did not digest this power. At this moment, the white cat's body is like a barrel of explosives, ready to explode. The white cat knows the current state of its body. It needs to release its strength and digest, just like being full and bloated, it needs to exercise. And Ma Shan is about to die of bloating. It can't do it anymore. Meow. The white cat screamed again, and slapped its claws directly on the edge of the bathtub. Bang. The next moment, Li Hao saw that the marble bathtub was actually exploded. Li Hao stared at the scene in amazement and couldn't help but swear again. This is a monster. This power. Whoosh. Before Li Hao could react, the white cat rushed out again. Not good. When Li Hao saw the direction where the white cat rushed out, he immediately said inwardly that it was not good, and his heart instantly rose to his throat. However, it was too late. The body of the white cat hit the wall of the room directly. Bang. Then, there was a roaring sound. Li Hao was horrified to see that the wall collapsed, and a big hole appeared where the white cat hit. Yashiun was lying on the bed sleeping. It was not as hot as before, and she was about to fall asleep again. But she felt that the whole bed was suddenly shaken, as if there was an earthquake. Ah! Yashiun screamed directly, and the whole person sat up. What happened? What happened? However, when she sat up, she saw that there was a huge hole in the wall in front of the bed. Through the hole, she could see that Li Hao was standing there naked, wearing only shorts, staring at her. At this moment, Yashiun also realized the problem. She had just taken off all her clothes and was sleeping naked. Wasn't she seen naked by Li Hao? Ah! Yashiun quickly covered her chest and screamed again. Li Hao! Yashiun's face was filled with shame and anger. She shouted Li Hao's name as if she wanted to kill someone. Li Hao stared blankly at the scene in front of him. It can't be washed away even if you jump into the yellow river. And the white cat, where is the shadow of that guy? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 180. Although Yeshiun had blocked the spring light with her hands, there was still something she couldn't hide. Yeshiun was ashamed and angry. She looked at Li Hao as if she wanted to kill someone. Li Hao! Yeshiun shouted to Li Hao coldly. Li Hao stared at the scene dumbfounded, and his whole person suddenly became a little bad. I didn't do this. It was the white cat. Li Hao said weakly to Yeshiun. Damn it, this guy knocked down the wall and ran away without even being seen. Next time you catch this guy, you must give him a good beating. It's not you. You're still making excuses. You still don't admit that you have stolen something. Go to hell, you. Get out. Get out of here. Yeshiun stared at Li Hao and said loudly, very angry. With such a big hole in front of her, her whole body was exposed, but this guy didn't come out and was still staring at her, making her whole face blush with embarrassment. In her opinion, the wall must have collapsed by Li Hao. Li Hao must have wanted to do something evil to her. He even took off his clothes. He may even have wanted to dig a hole to peek at her and do some unspeakable things. It really wasn't me. Oh my God, my earth, I was wronged. Li Hao said depressedly again, but he couldn't help but stare at Yeshiun's body. I have to say, this Yeshiun is really fair, and her figure is really attractive, so promising. At that moment, Li Hao naturally saw everything he shouldn't have seen. Don't suffer. Get out, why don't you get out? Yeshiun blushed and threw the pillow towards Li Hao, furious. Okay, okay. Just get out when you get out. Li Hao was helpless. A good man would not fight with a woman. Li Hao had a spirit of humility and walked out of the room directly. White cat. Li Hao gritted his teeth and screamed. The white cat's presence was not felt in the whole villa, and it obviously ran out. It seems that we have to find someone to patch up the wall of this room tomorrow. Call. After Yeshiun watched Li Hao walk out, she exhaled heavily and put down her snack a little, but her pretty face was still burning. If Li Hao really wanted to do something to her, it seemed like she really couldn't resist. If something like that really happened, would she refuse? Or cooperate? But a moment later. However, Yeshiun had another doubt in her heart, and even a sour taste. Did you really just go out like this? Yeshiun murmured again, feeling slightly disappointed in her heart. Yeshiun couldn't help but start to doubt herself again. Why was Li Hao able to control himself even though he was seen like this? Are you not in good shape? Are you so unattractive to him? Or is this guy not a man? Oh, no matter. Yeshiun didn't think too much and continued to sleep, but she put on her pajamas. But in the second half of the night, Yeshiun basically didn't fall asleep. In her mind, she kept thinking whether Li Hao would rush in again later. Li Hao is a gentleman, so naturally it is impossible for him to do that kind of thing. Li Hao came directly to the riverside, sat down cross-legged, and then took out a few spiritual stones and threw them directly beside him. Suddenly, a strong spiritual energy was released. The next moment, Li Hao directly activated his cultivation power and began to absorb the spiritual energy released by these spiritual stones. Li Hao can clearly feel that his power of cultivation is slowly improving. Although he has just broken through and will not break through to the next level immediately, his power of cultivation is getting stronger and stronger. The power also becomes more and more powerful. In this way, Li Hao practiced for a whole night. The next day, Li Hajeng was in high spirits and made breakfast as usual. When Yeshiun got up and saw that Li Hao had cooked porridge and eggs, she couldn't help but feel touched again. Get up. When Li Hao saw Yeshiun getting up, he immediately said to Yeshiun, as if nothing was wrong with him. But Yeshun's pretty face suddenly flushed with shame, and thinking of what happened last night, her nose couldn't help but burn. Yeshun's energy seemed to be not very good. She had insomnia in the middle of the night last night and basically didn't fall asleep. "Come, have a drink first." When Li Hao saw Yeshun's appearance, he couldn't help but smile again, and then directly put a few pieces of Lingcha Dajidu tea leaves into the cup, then made a cup of water, and handed it to Yeshun. After Yeshun took a few sips, she could clearly feel that her spirit had become much better. "Thanks," Yeshun said lightly, but her heart felt warm. It was as if what happened last night had never happened. Yeshun actually enjoyed this kind of life, but she still had some worries in her heart. She always felt that she might not be able to enjoy this kind of life for long. Her family, as well as the Qin family in the magical capital, will definitely come again to ask her to go back. Sometimes, as a member of a big family and a powerful person, you can't help yourself. While Li Hao and Yeshun were eating breakfast. Ding dong. The doorbell outside the villa rang. "I'll open the door," Yeshun said, taking the initiative to open the door. But the next moment, another exclamation came out of Yeshun's mouth. "Li Hao, did you buy a car again? My God, a Bugatti Veyron." Outside the villa, Yeshun looked at a blue supercar parked quietly at the door. It was a Bugatti Veyron. "Hello, miss, may I ask if Mr. Li Hao is here?" At this time, a middle-aged man in a suit said to Yeshun. This middle-aged man looked like a sales manager. "Yeah." Yeshun nodded. At this time, many people in Jiangbei No. 1 courtyard not far away saw this scene, which also made these people make a sound of surprise. "Oh my God, it's actually a Bugatti Veyron. This car is quite nice. Is it bought by the owner of Villa No. 13? Whose rich family is this? There is also a Mercedes-Benz parked there, and an Audi. Look at the license plate of the Audi. It's actually the No. 3 officer's car of the Southwest Garrison Army." Soon, Li Hao also walked out directly. "Hello, Mr. Li Hao. I am the CEO of Bugatti Asia Pacific. The Bugatti Veyron you ordered has been delivered to you. Please sign for it," the middle-aged man said immediately when he saw Li Hao. Unexpectedly, this middle-aged man was actually the CEO of Bugatti Asia Pacific, and he personally delivered the car to the door. God-level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 181. Li Hao almost forgot that the system had rewarded him with a Bugatti Veyron before. It was just delivered now. Li Hao signed for it directly, and then looked at the blue Bugatti Veyron. "I have to say that this car is really handsome, and it is comparable to his Lamborghini Veneno, but the Veneno is black and very imposing, while this Bugatti Veyron is blue and very cool." After the middle-aged man delivered the car to Li Hao for signature, he left directly. When he left, he added a WeChat to Li Hao and said that if there were any problems with the car, he could contact him directly. After owning this Bugatti Veyron, Li Hao already has 4 cars. Audi A6, Mercedes-Benz S450, Lamborghini Veneno, and this Bugatti Veyron. There was originally an Aston Martin, but it was scrapped when it was crashed when saving people. However, even with these 4 cars in front of him, Li Hao can no longer drive them. But as a man, who would complain about having too many cars? Not enough, far from enough. Compared with those real super rich people, this is really insignificant. Li Hao thought that he must raise enough 365 luxury cars in the future. When the time comes, he will drive one every day and take turns driving. That will be comfortable. "Li Hao, what does your family do?" Seeing Li Hao signed for this Bugatti Veyron worth more than 10 million yuan calmly, Yeshun couldn't help but feel a little puzzled in her heart and asked Li Hao. In her opinion, there must be a big family behind Li Hao, Otherwise, how could he have a villa and a luxury car, and he is so young? At this moment, Ye Xiun had an idea. If Li Hao really has some mysterious background behind him, if she is with his Qin family, she may not be afraid. Alas! But soon, Ye Xiun sighed again, thinking that she was overthinking. I'm alone. I don't have any family. When Li Hao heard Ye Xiun's words, he couldn't help but look condensed, and then slowly said, Family. Li Hao never knew where his family was. At this moment, Ye Xiun heard Li Hao's words and saw Li Hao's appearance, and her heart couldn't help but fluctuate again. At this moment, Li Hao couldn't help but make people want to hug him in their arms and care about him. I'm sorry. Ye Xiun said to Li Hao again. However, Li Hao laughed again. Haha, what are you sorry for? I'm used to it. Li Hao didn't care at all. Although he didn't have parents, he had friends. Jiangbei Police Station. Xiao Yao Yao drove a Lamborghini Veneno to here. When Xiao Yao Yao and others in the police station saw that Xiao Yao Yao actually drove a Lamborghini Veneno to work today, there were shocking voices from time to time. Officer Xiao, are you rich? You actually drive a Lamborghini. Awesome. Officer Xiao, is this your car? This car is so damn cool. The whole police station was shocked because Xiao Yao Yao drove the super sports car to work. Even the police station boss Wang Dejiang was alarmed. Yao Yao, is this car Li Hao's? When Wang Dejiang saw this scene, there was a hint of surprise in his eyes, and he immediately asked Xiao Yao Yao. Wang Dejiang had seen the news. After Li Hao rescued people on the bridge, he drove a Lamborghini back. The first time Wang Dejiang saw this car, he remembered it. Yes. This car is indeed Li Hao's. I drove it back for him last night. It will be temporarily parked in our police station. He will drive it away when he is free. Xiao Yao Yao nodded and said directly. However, when Wang Dejiang and others heard Xiao Yao Yao's words, their eyes widened. Last night? Yao Yao, you and Li Hao hooked up. Wang Dejiang couldn't help asking again. As soon as Wang Dejiang's voice fell, Xiao Yao Yao's colleagues beside him took a breath of cold air. Li Hao. The hero who saved people, Li Hao. I know him, he's a rich man. He crashed an Aston Martin without changing his face, and directly bought a Lamborghini Veneno. Our Jiangbei's #1 policewoman actually has a boyfriend. He didn't give you this car, did he? Awesome. Our Yao Yao has found a big shot. A series of uproarious voices suddenly rang out again. Many people in the police station obviously knew Li Hao. What? What nonsense are you talking about? I just helped him drive the car back, we have nothing to do with each other. Hearing what these people said, Xiao Yao Yao was speechless. The car is already given to you, it's still okay. Do we believe it? Isn't it? Xiao Yao Yao. You've had enough. Xiao Yao Yao's pretty face was flushed with anger. She didn't expect that driving a car back to the police station would cause such a big stir. The next moment, Xiao Yao Yao ignored these gossiping guys and walked in directly, hoping that Li Hao would come and drive the car away quickly. However, after waiting for a whole day, Li Hao didn't come. The next day, Li Hao still didn't come. The third day, still. Li Hao seemed to have forgotten about the car, which made Xiao Yao Yao speechless. This is a Lamborghini Veneno worth more than 30 million yuan. Are you just going to ignore it? It's not that Li Hao doesn't care. It's that Li Hao really doesn't care. The system just rewarded him with a Bugatti Veyron. Let's drive it for a while. In the next few days, Li Hao returned to his normal life and lived a very fulfilling life. He went to class when he had classes, practiced when he didn't have classes, and occasionally chatted with girls on WeChat. After the dormitory party that day, the girls from the music college basically added Li Hao as their WeChat friends and often took the initiative to send him some messages. Even the words were very ambiguous. That afternoon, Li Hao was taking a class. Another WeChat message popped up. Li Hao opened it and took a look. Li Hao was immediately surprised. It was sent by Qin Yaking. It's really rare. I haven't seen Qin Yaking for several days, let alone talk to Qin Yaking. Li Hao knew that Qin Yaking, who lived in the villa next door, basically went out early and came back late these days, and seemed very busy. Li Hao opened the message and took a look. Are you free tonight? My dad and others asked you to go back for dinner together. This was the message from Qin Yaking. You must be free. Are you in the company? I'll pick you up later. Li Hao replied directly, and actually asked him to go to Qin's house for dinner. It seemed that he was still Qin Yaking's pretend boyfriend, and it was normal for Qin Yaking's parents to ask him to go for dinner.